All right, guys, welcome to the 15th day of the competition already. We are officially halfway through. Today, I'm going to be walking you guys through pretty much my thought process, kind of looking back at everything as well, going over what we've done so far, the logic behind the better moves, and that you can see just pretty much where my bias comes from the whole time. In correlation to when I managed to, let's say, flip bias or catch, let's say, moves in my favor, right? You can see just a quick overview of just what I teach in this entire sequence, in Anomaly sequence, how that is all coming to fruition with, let's say, these shorts the whole time, getting my hands burnt potentially here. But again, those are moments where you can see that, hey, that playbook that I want to do, here we sweep, let's say, major lows, 1, 2, 3 times, and then I try to catch the knife one more time. I get my hands burnt, which is unfortunate, but then I manage to recoup that playing towards that level. How my bias is just so correct this entire run to the downside. And so far, managing to pretty much execute every single day, solving that puzzle of the day daily, which is quite impressive if I say so myself. Here, a little bit of misfiring, right? Good execution. Then again, after we take out major levels, you see that seems to be a little bit of my flaw. Once we take out major levels of sell side liquidity, let's say here, you can see how I fumble and try to catch that continuation just a little bit too quickly. But then I managed to reposition myself, go short one more time. And now we're here, right, from day 14. If you've seen the previous video in Anomaly sequence where I go over day 14, you notice that I didn't catch anything that day. But day 15, I finally partook in the market. Again, let's kind of just talk a little bit about where we are positioned. So we are in, let's say, this area where we believe that we've got this sell side curve and people are starting to anticipate some sort of buy side to kick in, right? This pullback. And essentially, I didn't really want to partake in that buy side curve. I didn't really want to position myself into H1, H4 buy side. So, that's where this move that I missed, unfortunately, went without me. But you can also see exactly what I wanted to partake in was textbook protocol. I had to shoot shorts here because we take out major levels of buy side liquidity. So let's go straight into that. Let's kind of look at what I did that day. So we took out these major highs, right, that needed to be corrected. And EU kind of showed its cards like this. And you can already kind of see, right? You can already see where I tried to partake in the market. And it was good until it wasn't. Let's just put it like that. There were 2 plays that I did. There was one entering off of the shift, which was this one, pretty much M15. I really didn't need more than that, didn't need less. And right here, SL above the high, going for Asia low as T1, and then trying to get myself a little bit further into pretty much the lows that were here, right? Open, take profit, trying to see what the market could give us. But you can see shift entry right here. Let's just put it like that. One of 2 things, right? We create this right here, and then, you would have had your SL here if we went lower straight off the bat right there. But that didn't happen. We actually went higher one more time. So forcing my SL to be a little bit higher, which made my risk to reward just ever so lower. Then finally got triggered right on that, pretty much on this being your shift. Sure, you could have argued that you could have entered better on an order block for better risk to reward if you don't like the criteria of 1.5. Let's say near 1.5, although I don't find this bad. I'd rather have a big strike rate and, yield in profits consistently than worrying about being above 2 RR the whole time. I don't think that's the name of the game. So what kind of happened here? I mitigated risk quickly. I took interim partials right here, and then afterwards price just didn't continue in that sense. I scaled in, let's say there were 2 positions, right? This one closing around break even, and then there was the other option of getting into the position one more time right here, just off of the most recent M15 imbalance that would be created. That was totally fine as well. You get the same stop loss, right? I know guys that played it a little bit too aggressive, in my opinion, using this shoulder pretty much as your stop loss. Not my cup of tea. Regardless, I was positioned in both across the board, and neither really yielded what I wanted. So after this moment right here, I decided to take in the smallest partial at these lows, and then remove stop loss, remove my risk by moving my stop loss to break even and getting knocked out, right? Quite choppy, not really much that you could do. In my honest opinion, it's just standard protocol that if you do see major levels of buy-side liquidity being taken out, that you then also look to play the play that you want to play, which is shorts in that case, right? Which is short-sided in this array, playing from buy side into all these sell side right here. So that's kind of what I was looking for. I wasn't interested in playing, like there were guys that played buy side here, right? Taking price, and you could, you know, totally valid in my opinion as well. Here, obviously, the demand for the euro is going to be considered, is going to increase, right? The exchange rate euro USD is going to be considered cheap, and you can see how we then created a shift here, leaving behind pretty much the most beautiful pocket here, OB, imbalance, all the good stuff to take you back to the highs that were here. Valid as well. I didn't adapt to that. That's kind of the only issue that I'm having with this competition, is that I'm marrying a bias, and naturally I'm very much more of a fan of shorting the market, right, rather than buying the market, and that's just kind of been my bottleneck ever so slightly. So I hope that you guys learn something about that as well. Learn from my mistakes, become a little bit more adaptive, know when the market is going to give you something else, and not marry that bias, because twice now already, this Wednesday, right, and the Tuesday, I was way too caught up with my bias that I didn't bother adapting, right? Even if we had divergence here, this was a really good buy opportunity, let's be completely honest, and I didn't play it because I'm just a little bit stubborn in that sense. So that's something that you can take away from this execution here. It's the playbook, right? We talk about it, levels into levels, right? There wasn't really much of an array. So this is the worst playbook. We go from demand for an area where the demand for the dollar will increase to an area where the demand for the euro will increase, and that's the play. There wasn't really any array, and you can see exactly how that fumbled, right? As much as we'd want Asia low to be taken out, this criteria was met here already, so that's why price didn't need to go lower to fair valuate that expensive area right there. So learn from this, adapt from this, use my execution, what I use as execution, as well as key insights of what you could do as well. Don't be too aggressive, manage your risk accordingly if you have the worst setup of that playbook that we talk about, and then I'll see you guys in the next video.